Our top story tonight is Western Civilization. You know Western Civilization? That thing that gave us Aristotle, modern science, and the Hog's Breath Cafe. The Hog's Breath Cafe. Try their new barbecue beef salad with beetroot and barramundi croutons now. The Hog's Breath Cafe, for when colon cancer can't come soon enough. But apparently these days, kids just aren't into Western civilization like they used to be. And there's been a debate about why it is that kids today are all down with the West rather than down with the West. Could it be that a litany of sexual abuse scandals within Christianity has robbed a major Western religion of its moral authority? Or is decades of overseas military and diplomatic failures in the Middle East contributing to the problem? Or, as the community at therightsaber.com would argue, is it an all-female Ocean's 8 and the fact that Luke Skywalker didn't obviously have enough big dick energy in The Last Jedi? No, apparently the main culprit for all this anti-Western bigotry, universities, where apparently pervasive left-wing bias is breeding generations of snowflakes who hate this country, its people, and probably Jesus, I don't know. And all this came to a head over the proposed Ramsay Centre for Western Civilization, which was to be part of the Australian National University. And you might think that with around 150 humanities courses that broadly cover what you might call Western civilization at ANU already, that this new centre was redundant. But you would be totally wrong, because the right-wing, wait, what the fuck is wrong with the way they actually think tank, the Institute of Public Affairs, claims that a search of the course descriptions reveals not one of those 150 courses contains the words Thomas Aquinas. Well, yeah, that's just because they're course descriptions, right? The only words that students search for in a course description are compulsory attendance or group assignment, because if you see those two words, you need to back the fuck out of there, because you just know that Tara is going to fuck you over on her section of that group assignment. I can see you're online, Tara. But even if ANU does need to up its Thomas Aquinas quota, the reason they actually pulled out were concerns about academic independence. First, because not only did the Ramsay Centre want a say on staffing, it turns out they wanted to sit in on classes to monitor how the degree was being taught, which would not have been conspicuous at all. But secondly, in the words of Ramsay Foundation board member and Australian culture warrior Tony Abbott, the centre is not merely, loved his episode, the centre is not merely about Western civilization, but in favour of it. And that, in a nutshell, is the problem. Because first of all, universities aren't really meant to be in favour of any particular school of thought, apart from obviously being pro-tweed. But this comes as part of a broader discussion. Right? Broader discussion claiming that left-wing bias, particularly at universities and the ABC, has erased the benefits of Western civilization from the public's mind. So Tony Abbott says, women's equality, the abolition of slavery, individual freedom, religious tolerance, and freedom of expression are the West's gift to the world. Sure, but you can't really credit the West with abolishing slavery without also mentioning all the slavery that went on under Western civilization in the first place. That'd be like saying Ian Thorpe's gift to the world was the abolition of Thorpe's Angels. And sure, the cancellation of that show was, in the words of the great man, fully sick. But he's also the only reason that show existed in the first place. Also, bold move leading with women's equality there. I'd have described that more as an ongoing project rather than as a gift to the world. Or maybe, did the West gift women's equality to the rest of the world and forget to give it to women in the West in the first place? Because that seems like an oversight. Regardless, women's equality hasn't even been something men in the West cared about for almost the entirety of Western civilization. To the extent it's a gift at all, it's the sort of gift Western civilization has bought from a 7-Eleven on the way to their sister's birthday party. Like, or what, you didn't want 6 donuts, some engine oil, and 2 Mother energy drinks for $6.50? And sure, the card says it's a boy, not happy birthday, but it's all I could find. I mean, it's one thing to be in favour of Western civilization, but it's entirely another to establish a centre to teach university students that Western civilization went democracy, inventing penicillin, then Churchill, while leaving out colonialism, institutionalised racism, and the Nazis. So even if you accept that universities tend to be more left-wing than the rest of the population, and sure, those photos of me in second year in the Harpists for Marxists orchestra would tend to confirm that perception. But even if you accept, it's a social club, even if you accept that, what are these culture warriors really worried about? If universities are churning out left-wing agents determined to bring down the West, they're doing a pretty crappy job of it. They could have been trying for generations, but they haven't succeeded yet. And partly, they haven't succeeded because a lot of the time I don't think they're really trying. I think most of the time they're just asking chest beaters like Abbott to consider the flaws in Western civilization and our culture before manically preaching its virtues. And they're also failing because fucking Tara always forgets to do her part of the fucking plan. Fucking Tara! We'll be right back.